Welcome to the Kindred Sewls YouTube channel. Today we are making the Chester Tote Bag. Please see the video description for more information on this sewing pattern. So I have my long piece of webbing here, and I'm going to thread it through the rectangle slider. Just going around the center bar. I'm going to thread it through by about 3 inches. And then I'm going to fold it over by about 1 inch, like this. Tuck in these raw edges. Just gonna put a clip right here. And then I'm going to sew 2 to 3 rows of stitches right here. Alternatively, you could sew a rectangle. You can sew an X through the middle if you'd like. Another option, if you didn't want to fold this over like this, is to finish this raw edge with a zigzag stitch and then just fold it once and sew. So now I'm going to take the other end of my strap. I'm going to thread it through one of the swivel hooks. And then I'm going to bring it back through the slider. Make sure it's not twisted. Up and over the bar. Looks like this. And then I'm going to thread this end through the remaining swivel hook by about 3 inches again. Can be a little less if you'd like. I'm gonna fold it over by about 1 inch. And then I'm gonna sew it in place. So this is what the strap looks like when it's finished. And we can just set it aside for now, and we're gonna move on to making the D-ring holders. So I'm gonna take my piece M, and I'm gonna fold it in half, matching the long sides. So the sides are slightly longer than the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to fold it in half and finger press it to find the center. And then I'm going to open it and fold the edges into the center crease and then just press it. And then I'm going to top stitch along both long edges. Okay, so now I'm going to thread this through one of my D-rings, fold it in half, and I'm just gonna baste it in place right here, and then I'm gonna repeat this process to make the other D-ring holder, and then we can just set these aside for now. So we're going to start by making our back pocket. You're going to need your exterior and lining F pieces. I highly recommend using the labels that come with the pattern. There are a lot of pieces that are similar in size, so it'll make things a lot easier. So we're going to take the back pocket pieces and place them right sides together, and then pin or clip along this top edge. And then sew a 1/2 inch seam along the top. So now I'm going to fold the pocket so it's wrong sides together. I'm gonna roll out this top seam. And then I'm going to press it flat and just top stitch along this top edge. So next I'm going to draw a line down the center of the pocket. I'm going to use this center notch for reference. I'm going to line up my ruler here. I'm using a Pilot friction pen. It's erasable with heat. You just give it a press and it disappears. I really like it. I don't know how much you're gonna be able to see this on black fabric, but I'm gonna draw a line here. Now I'm going to take my back panel piece E and I'm going to place it right side up in front of me. I should point out that I'm using interfacing option number 2 for this bag. My exterior fabric is pretty lightweight, so my main exterior pieces I used Pellon 809, and then for the remaining pieces that require interfacing I used SF 101. So this front or this back pocket piece has the 101, this one has 809. So I'm going to take my pocket piece with the exterior side up and place it on the back panel. I'm going to make sure that the top edges of the pocket align with these notches here and that my center line aligns with the center notch on piece E as well. And then I'm going to clip it in place. And then I'm going to just base the pocket all the way around the sides and the bottom. Okay, so my pocket is basted in place, and now I'm going to create a divided pocket by sewing right along this line, and I'm going to start at the bottom and sew this way. Now I've created 2 pockets, and I'm going to remove the marking by just pressing over it. Not sure how well you can see this on camera. And then I should say that if you don't have a fabric marker, you could always use a piece of masking tape and just tape down the center and then just sew along the edge of it. That's another option. So now we're gonna set this back aside and we're gonna move on to the front of the bag. So now I'm gonna place exterior piece C in front of me with the right side up. And I'm going to take my zipper, I'm gonna place it face down on top, aligned with this top edge. I'm gonna clip it in place. And then I'm just going to baste it along the top edge. I'm going to take my lining piece C, place it on top, right side down, clip it in place. And then I'm going to sew a 3/8 inch seam along the top edge. Now we're going to turn the front pocket so the wrong sides are together. And then I want to carefully press along this edge and then top stitch. now I'm going to take exterior piece D and place it right side up in front of me. I'm going to take the pocket piece from the previous step, put it on top. I'm going to make sure that the center notches are aligned. And then I'm going to clip it in place. You're going to want to make sure that your zipper pulls are on the inside. You don't want them over here. And then you're just going to baste all along the sides, the bottom, and the top. So for this one, I've decided that I don't want to have a zipper cover, but if I were to put one on, I would take piece N, fold it in half, wrong sides together. I'd press it flat, and then clip it to this top edge here and then just baste it in place. I'm not going to do that for this one just because I think I want my zipper to show, but that is what you would do if you were adding a zipper cover. Okay, so I take piece A and I'm going to place it right sides together with this pocket piece. On piece A, there are 3 notches. This is the top edge. And you want to make sure you're pinning the bottom edge to the pocket. If you had a zipper cover, the zipper cover would be sandwiched in between these 2 pieces. And then I'm going to sew a 3/8 inch seam. Next, we're going to fold this piece up. I'm going to just press along this edge and then top stitch. Okay, so next I'm going to trim my zipper tape. And then I'm going to set this aside for now. We're going to move on to making the gusset. So you'll need your exterior gusset pieces. This is piece H. And you're going to place them right sides together. And you're going to pin along one short edge. If you have directional fabric, you're going to want to make sure that it's the bottom edge. And then I'm just going to sew a 1/2 inch seam. So now we're going to open our gusset. I'm going to open this seam allowance, press it, and then I'm just going to top stitch along both sides of the seam. So now we're going to put the exterior of our bag together. I have my back panel here right side up and my gusset. I'm going to place them right sides together I'm gonna start by aligning the center seam with the bottom center notch here. And then I'm gonna continue just along the straight edge. I'm gonna skip the curved part for now. I'm gonna clip the ends here and continue along the straight edge. So when we get to the curved areas, we're going to want to clip into just the gusset side to ease it around the corners. I'm just going to take my ruler and mark my 1/2 inch seam allowance here, just so I know how far to cut. So I'm going to want to cut about 3/8 of an inch in. I'm just going to clip every so often. And then I like to put my bag flat and then take the gusset part and just kind of spread it out like this. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And now I'm going to take it and I'm going to sew using a 1/2 inch seam allowance all along the sides and the bottom. Now I'm just gonna check to see if I have any puckers. I don't, doesn't look like I do. If you did, usually you can just rip out maybe 3 inches or so and just smooth the fabric and sew that section again. You don't have to rip out the whole gusset. So now we're going to repeat everything we just did to attach the remaining side of the gusset to our front panel of our bag. And turn your bag right side out. You're going to take a piece of webbing. You're going to cut the remaining piece in half. You should have 2 pieces measuring 28 inches each. And then you're going to find the notches at the top of the bag. There's a center notch, and then there's 2 notches, one on either side of the center notch. So I'm going to take my webbing and I'm going to let it extend past the top of the bag by 1/2 inch, just so there's a little bit more in there in the seam. And I'm going to align this inside edge of the strap with the notch right here. I'm going to pin it in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure that your strap isn't twisted. And then I'm just gonna baste the strap in place right here. Okay, so after you baste both straps onto your bag, you're gonna want to baste the D-ring holders to the gusset. So I'm just going to fold this and just make a little clip to find the center. And then I can see where the center fold is on these D-ring holders on the inside. I'm gonna line it with that center notch I just made. And then I'm gonna baste it in place, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. So we are moving on to making the lining, the inside pocket. So I'm gonna take my pocket lining piece and place it right side down. I'm gonna take my clear ruler, my graded ruler, and I'm going to mark a line 1 inch down from the top. And then I'm gonna mark another line 1/2 inch down from that line. And then I'm going to make 2 lines 3/4 of an inch over from the side. So now I'm going to take one of my lining panels. This is piece G, and I'm going to place it right side up. I'm going to find the center of my pocket lining piece. I'm just going to fold it in half and clip right here. And now I'm going to place the pocket lining piece right side down on top of my lining panel. And I want to place this, so my center notch of my lining panel is right here, and I'm going to align it with this center notch I made on my lining piece. And I'm just going to pin it in place. Now I'm going to take it to my machine, and I'm going to sew a rectangle. Just follow the lines I just drew. You can see I have my rectangle here. It's probably a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to cut right down the middle of the rectangle. Not quite to the end. When I get close to the end, I'm going to angle out towards the corners and then clip as close as I can to the stitch line. Now we're going to pull the lining through this hole, but first I'm just going to press it a little bit. gonna pull it through. Next, I'm going to baste the zipper in place behind the opening. This can be done by hand with a needle and thread, with fabric glue, or with fusible web tape. Some people even just pin the zipper in place. So the zipper pull can be to the right or left, just whichever way you prefer. And you're going to I'm going to put it behind the opening like this. And then baste it in place. My zipper is a little bit longer than needed, but I'll trim it down at a later time. So I'm going to use this fabric glue stick. I'm just going to put the glue on the very outside of the tape. And looks like I got a little. Then I'm going to just press it down carefully. Then I'm going to leave it to dry for a little while, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to top stitch it in place all around the opening. Now I'm going to flip my piece over and I'm going to fold the lining up. I'm going to clip or pin it along the top and sides. And I'm going to take it over to my machine. I'm going to sew it with this side up, and I'm going to fold the main lining panel out of the way, and then I'm going to sew along the sides and the top. And then afterwards, because my zipper's a little bit longer, I'll just trim my zipper. Okay, so I'm gonna make my inside D-ring or swivel hook holder the same way we made the D-ring holders for the crossbody strap. So first I'm going to fold it in half, finger press it to find the center, and then I'm going to fold the sides in to meet that center crease. I'm going to press it. And then I'm going to top stitch along each long side. I'm going to thread it through my swivel hook, fold it in half, and then just baste it in place. So now I'm going to baste this to my lining panel, 2 inches from one of the sides, whichever one you prefer. I'm gonna put mine over here. So 2 inches in, and then I'm just gonna baste it in place. So next we're gonna install the magnetic snap. This is my lining facing piece B. If you're using a thick fabric, you don't have to interface this piece. I did interface mine because my fabric's pretty lightweight. If I did not, however, I would add a square of fusible interfacing to the back just over where the snap is going to be installed. So I'm going to place my washer over my snap placement marking in this little circle. And I'm going to draw 2 lines. And then I'm going to snip into the fabric. And then I'm going to place a square of canvas on the back. You could also use foam or interfacing. And I'll place my washer on top and then bend the prongs over. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side to install the other half to the remaining piece B. All right, now we're going to assemble our lining gusset. I'm going to take the gusset pieces and place them right side together, and then pin or clip along one short edge. I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch seam and then press my seam allowance open. Make sure if you have directional fabric, you'll want it to be the bottom side. I have my lining gusset. I'm gonna take my J pieces, place them right sides together along the short ends. And I'm going to sew them in place using 1/2 inch seam allowances. Okay, so I'm now going to fold this up so the seam allowance is facing this way. And give it a press. and then top stitch along this edge, and I will repeat that on the other side. The next step is to assemble the main lining panels. I'm going to take my piece G in one of my lining facings, and I'm going to place them right sides together, align them along this top edge. I'm going to make sure that these center notches are aligned. I'm going to pin or clip it in place. And then sew along this top edge. And I'm going to repeat this to assemble the other lining panel piece, the one with the zipper. So I'm going to fold this top piece up and press it. And then I'm going to top stitch along this edge. Now we're going to attach the lining gusset to the lining front and back panels. We're basically doing the exact same thing we did when we attached the exterior gusset to the front and back panels, with one exception. So you can start either with your front or back lining panel, it doesn't matter which one. You're going to align the seam with the center notch. On one side, you're going to want to leave an opening. I'm going to do it on this side. It doesn't matter which one. You want the opening to be about 7 inches. So I'm just going to mark 3.5 inches over from the center seam. This is the part that I'm going to not sew in between these two marks so that you can turn your bag right side out later. I'm then going to repeat this process to attach this remaining edge of the gusset to the other lining panel, only this time I'm not going to leave an opening. I have my exterior tote right side out. My lining is inside out, and I'm going to place the exterior inside of the lining. You're going to want to make sure that the side of the lining with the zipper is on the same side of the exterior with the back slip pockets. So now we're going to clip it along the top edge. I'm going to make sure that the center notches are aligned. As well as the seams, and when I get to the seams, I'm just going to sandwich them so the seam allowance on the exterior is going that way and the seam allowance on my lining is going the opposite way. Just want to make sure my straps are straight. Okay, so I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch seam all around the opening of the bag, and then I'm going to add an extra row of stitches using a 1/4 inch seam allowance just over the straps and also my D-ring holders right here, just to give it a little extra reinforcement. So now we're going to pull the exterior of the bag through the hole in the lining. This can be a little difficult if you have really thick fabric, but if you just take it easy, you can avoid tearing the seam. Push lining into the bag. I'm just going to roll out these seams. And then I'm going to press along this edge, which is easier to do at an ironing board, but you're just going to want to roll the lining a little bit towards the inside and then press all along these edges. And then once you've done that, you're going to take it to your machine and we're going to top stitch all along the opening of the bag. If you have thick seams, you may want to actually take a hammer, just hammer it a few times to flatten them. Another option for going over thick areas is using a height compensation tool like a G-jig, which looks like this. So basically when you're approaching a thick area and your foot starts to angle up, you lower your needle, raise your presser foot, and put this underneath at the back, just so that your foot becomes even again and it helps you go over those thick areas. If you don't have one of these, you can always just roll up a piece of fabric and put it under the back of your foot. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my lining out a little bit here and fold this opening in. Keep a press. You can pin it if you want. And then I'm just gonna sew along this edge right here and then push the lining back into my bag. Okay, so last step, I'm going to attach my crossbody strap. And I am all finished.